Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. That looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
This is Chip Walters, and you're listening to Rutherford County's Blue Raider station.
Yeah, we got them. MTSU Sports on WGNS, AM, FM, online. The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday morning edition of the Roundtable with your host, Wayne Blair, and myself, Rick Hall. We come to you from the WGNS studios here in Murfreesboro every Tuesday morning, and we concentrate on North Rutherford County and issues, and got some awesome guests with us today, Wayne.
Yes, sir.
A lot of content going on.
Yep. A lot of things in the air, I guess.
That's exactly.
But it's kind of cool outside this morning, so somewhat refreshing, but somewhat surprising here, the 13th day of June.
I know.
But at least the haze is gone, so we're not breathing the Canadian brush fire.
Exactly right. I can believe that. What you saw, what it was doing, obviously we saw it here, but what they were dealing with in the Northeast was just amazing.
400 forest fires. That's inconceivable. That's burning more than 3 or 4 the area of New England states. So
yeah.
That's off the scale.
Sure is.
Hey, shout out for a local guy. Congratulations to the Tennessee Volunteers and Blackman baseball player Drew Beam. He played lights out, didn't he?
He sure did.
So.
Shout out to my father-in-law. He's a Southern Mississippi State graduate. He played baseball and football there. So
okay.
We had a little in-house rivalry thing going on. But I was kind of pulling too for Coach Berry. He's a retiring coach for Southern,
gotcha.
Southern Miss. Sorry it had to go out that way, but I'm happy our Vols won.
Very, very competitive. So,
yeah.
Rick, I'll get into introducing our guest. It's our honor this morning to have our 3 Smyrna County Commissioners. I'll do it in numerical order. District 10 Commissioner Phil Wilson, District 11 Commissioner Anthony Johnson, and District 12 Commissioner Carl Boyd. And gentlemen, certainly with everything that's going on now, very pleased to have you this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Why don't we, of course you've been on before, but, our listening audience is varied. So let's start out by this first segment and remind our audience who you are and a little bit about yourselves and your family, if you wish.
Go ahead, Commissioner Johnson. You're far more interesting than I am.
He's been around a long time anyway.
So you're the oldest. Thank you for having us on. I'm Anthony Johnson. I'm District 11 Commissioner. That's the southwest portion of Smyrna that I represent. Been married to my beautiful wife, Debbie, for 45 years. Have 2 great grandbabies or grandchildren, and then 4 great grandchildren.
Wow.
Worked for AFCO Textron for 29 years, retired. Spent 7 years with Enterprise driving cars, as well as I was coaching baseball and softball and umpiring for like 14 years. Then I was on the county commission for 17 years and was not reelected, missed it, so I ran again this past term and got reelected. So I was gone 12 years and I'm back and trying to help solve the problems because we have many.
Remind our audience what committees you serve on as well, Commissioner.
I'm on property management, purchasing, and public works.
I guess Mr. Commissioner Boyd, you're up.
All right.
I guess Carl's in stereo and he's got two microphones left and right. So.
My name is Carl Boyd. I've been living in Smyrna for the past 54 years of my 64 years in existence. I'm retired UPS. I was in management with UPS. I worked for UPS for 37 years. 36 of that being in management. I had the privilege of driving for 1 year, and that was probably the greatest job I've ever had in my life. But I married former Karen O'Neill of Laverne. I've got 3 children, Brittany Boyd Oliver, Adam Boyd, and Connor Boyd. All live in Rutherford County. I've got 2 grandchildren, Anne-Marie Oliver and Evelyn Oliver, and I gotta brag. my oldest granddaughter, she's turned into quite the little golfer, and she played in a tournament yesterday at Pine Creek in Mount Juliet, and she won her first golf tournament.
Wow.
So,
Great.
Congrats.
she shot an 85 at 12 years old. So
Wow.
I'm pretty tickled about that. As far as the committees that I serve on, I'm on Health and Ed with Phil, Property Management with Phil and Anthony, Purchasing, and I'm also on Risk Management or Benefits and Insurance Committee.
That's a real fun one.
Boy, it is fun.
Commissioner Wilson, I think you're up.
It's actually a funny comment you were just making with Carl. Being that we're all 5 current and former county commissioners, when you speak of something like that, you know from experience, you're telling the truth. So first of all, it's always great to be on the Rick and Wayne show, starting your morning right.
Yes, thank you.
So enjoyable. I am the commissioner. My name is Phil Wilson from District 10. And my district actually has the west side of Laverne, west side of 24. And it goes back to the west side of Smyrna from Old Nashville Highway. That's where Anthony and I split our districts. And also District 5, Laura Davidson, starts just right there on the Laverne city limits, just behind Sam Ridley. So a couple of exciting things going on today in Laverne, which is right at the edge of my district. BJ's Wholesale is having their ribbon cutting. So obviously everyone can come, invited to that. That's at 1:30 today. We probably will not see Kelly Beam today, who normally does those ribbon cuttings, but I imagine she was up pretty late last night watching that game. So committees I'm on. I'm the vice chair of health and education, and I'm serve on that with Carl. And we're all on property management, which can be good and bad because it gives us something to talk about later. We didn't know how interesting property management was actually going to end up being. But it turns out when you're looking at building a bunch of buildings, you're looking at maintenance costs, you know, we're dealing with millions of dollars and looking in the future. So I'm really proud to serve with these guys. Just a ton of knowledge. So it's great to learn. Historically, when you understand where we came from, it really helps make these future decisions. So I really appreciate, you guys on those. That's about all I have as far as any background. I did teach with Rutherford County Schools as a private music instructor for the past 12 years. And of course, I've stopped doing that because I seem to be too busy with this politician thing.
You think?
Yeah. But, serving in schools made me very passionate about not only students, but also teachers, educators, and just what the future of education looks like. And not just because I serve on it, but I'm going to tell y'all, not only as a county and a state, but a country, the funding of public education is going to be the most expensive thing we discuss at all levels of government, probably forever. It's a major part of our budget, and in fact, when we talk about future needs, the money is really in buildings. It is seats for students. And Commissioner Blair, I know you know a ton about this after 20 years serving school board and on health and education yourself. And I want to see nothing more than these portable trailers removed for a variety of reasons, not only for safety, but also just the education, the quality of education. So we have a lot of work to do, and we didn't get here in one day, and we're not going to be able to fix it in one day.
Yes, sir.
So hopefully we continue working together to just keep addressing the issue. Very happy that we're addressing those additions this year, especially at Smyrna High School, where there's some unique issues. Obviously in our community, the five of us know with Dr. Sutherland, 39 plus languages. Just the challenge of communicating with students and educators in the space you have to do that in. You know, the old model of 25 students in one room with one teacher, that is something that's not what our county looks like and probably won't in the future. Sure. There are kids that need special communication. It's going to change the way the classroom looks. It's going to change the way we have to teach the material, the curriculum. So a lot of challenges. I'm very happy to be a part of it because I'm passionate about helping solve the problem, but it will take all of us. So.
Well, later in the program, maybe we can get a little deeper into the weeds. I think there's probably something's already been mentioned prior to our program this morning that is on your mind, especially since I believe there's a public hearing this evening. Is that correct?
At 7 p.m. at the courthouse.
So maybe the three of you would like to weigh in on that, however you desire.
Well, I'd just like to add one thing, too. I'm on the Agricultural Advisory Board and also a member of the Smyrna Senior Citizens or Center.
Well, I'm a year out, and I think I can get on the senior center. I'm waiting for that $35 I can pay and get on some of them trips they go on. I tell you that right now.
Nice trips.
They sure do. I just want to bring up about education because, like you said, all of us have been on the county commission at one point, and we were talking before the even show started about how we're going to have to start looking out, outside the box a little bit about changing things. And I don't know, y'all aware, and it's a food for thought, but we had Motlow on a couple of weeks ago, and they're one of the directors out there, and they had 29 students from Laverne High School get associate's degree. Smyrna High had 9. I checked with Central Magnet, and there were 0. So our number one high school, magnet school, has no college program. So my daughter graduated from Bethel through Smyrna High. She was 1 of 9 and graduated with honors. All the kids did. They did just amazing job, just absolutely amazing what they did to be able to accomplish that. But the money it saved me as a parent and what it's done to my child now at 18 years old, going in at her next college now as a junior, when she was able to dual enroll things that I think as taxpayers it's going to save, many of us in the long run money. But I worry that as administrator of like the school system, you're so busy with 52,000 students that you get lost in the weeds a little bit about future expansion and direction and things like that. And I know they're putting we've had coordinators on with STEM in the high schools, and the way things are changing where they've got 2 coordinators now are really looking at that those are the type of things that, I hope you guys are seeing that might be able to bring up to some of the administrators to maybe thinking outside the weeds a little bit, because we're going to get into the tax increase that, Commissioner Craig Harris was just on before our show and talking about the increase we're looking at, and we'll get into that. But I just want to bring that up. I just thought it was fascinating with us having a Motlow on, and I knew what the Smyrna High program had done. But I don't know if any of y'all want to comment on that, but it's just something I thought I'd bring up.
Well, you want to get into the high-profile subject that's on everybody's mind this morning? Just whoever wants to jump in first.
Well, if we're talking about the taxes, that
That's the elephant in the room, I believe.
Yeah, boy. And you know, when it was evident that we were going to have a tax increase, or we were looking to have a tax increase, I really felt like we would get lots of calls, people knocking on our doors, people knocking on our doors wanting to bend their ear about the tax increase. But my experience so far, I haven't had a whole lot of that. I've had a couple of emails and a couple of phone calls, but other than that, and a lot of it's been positive. People realize that the need for the school, the money for the schools, and I did a little analysis. Well, I didn't do it. Our county property assessor, and I did want to say one thing. I wanted to bring this up today, that Rutherford County is very lucky, whether it be the elected official or appointed. The department heads that we have in our county are top notch, and we have a very good. Rob Mitchell is a very good property assessor. I mean, he's top notch. But I looked at a home, just an average home, middle of the road in my district, in District 12, in the Lake Farm Bentry area, which is the largest subdivision in my district. Right now, this particular home we were looking at, they pay $1,548 annually, which comes out to $129 a month. With the property tax increase that we're talking about, that would go to $1,801 annually, or $150 a month. Works out to basically $21.08 per month increase for that family. For me and my wife, and we're retired, we probably we would never see that 21. I mean, it wouldn't bother us a bit, but some people it will. And we need to be mindful of that as commissioners, that just that $21, it may make the difference in somebody somewhere down the road, and we need to continue to look for other means of revenue to support our educational system, which I keep bringing back up the educational system. It's 61% of our budget now, and that's a big hunk. But the other thing I wanted to point out too is that the surrounding counties that we have around is Wilson, Davison, Williamson, Marshall, Bedford, which we do border Bedford. There's a little portion down there, Coffee and Cannon. Right now, Rutherford has by far the lowest tax rate, lowest property tax rate of any of those counties. And with this additional 26 cents, it's going to bring us to a 1.87, which is still lower. Is still going to be the lowest, with the exception of Marshall, who is at 1.81.
That's $1.87, right?
$1.87, and we're still the lowest. Got the lowest tax base of any county in the mid-state area, which we need to continue to strive to be there. So that's.
Well, and I think what's important about that is, like with Wayne and I being in insurance like we were, that the insurance industry, like everything else, is very volatile. So we're seeing a lot of customers, and luckily we're brokers, that we're able to broker and have other companies we can move people around, or people calling in, because if you're just stuck with one company, you're just going to get that pay raise. But you're seeing significant raises in home insurance. So if you add tax increase on top of home insurance, then you're an elderly or somebody like that on a fixed income. Right. It's really taking a chunk out of it. But I think we're going to take our first break here for a second real quick, but we'll get back and we'll continue on the same subject. We'll be right back with you in just a minute.
Looking for a charming home close to downtown and MTSU? Look no further than this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 0-lot line at 1341 Sharon Court. This home features a spacious living room, an open kitchen, and a primary suite on the main floor. It could be perfect for a family or a couple who wants to live in the middle of everything while still in a private neighborhood. Call for a showing today, 615-542-1915. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
All right, guys, there's a lot of people talking about testosterone, but make sure you do your homework and go to a provider that you can trust. I recommend Low T Center. That's where I get my levels checked. Low T Center exclusively specializes in men's wellness. They check all your levels, not just your testosterone, and then they determine the cause of any symptoms you're having and whether you're a candidate for low T or something else like low thyroid or sleep apnea. Typically, their annual health assessment is completely covered by health insurance, and they check everything, including PSA, which is your prostate level, and they check thyroid, liver, and kidney function, cholesterol, glucose levels, and more. Low T Center has affordable and convenient options for treatment, including monitored self-inject treatment that ships directly to you each month, so no need to come to the center each week. Make your health a priority and schedule your annual health assessment at Low T Center today. It's covered by most health insurance or less than $100 cash pay. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hi, this is Bob Cornell, pastor of Covenant Church right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The answer that you've been looking for is found in Jesus and what he accomplished at the cross. You see, Jesus changes lives from the inside out. We would love for you to join us at Covenant Church, located at 1124 Brinkley Ave right here in Murfreesboro. We have services Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. You can learn more about us at our Cornell Ministries YouTube channel. We want you to grow in Christ at Covenant Church.
It's Good Neighbor Events, brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control, Cardinal Realty Solutions, and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
Hi, this is John Day of the law offices of John Day. I've lived and worked as a lawyer in Middle Tennessee for over 30 years, and to me, every single day has been an honor. That's why our firm is so involved with community programs like bicycle helmet giveaways and our Safe Ride Home program. At the law offices of John Day, we're not just looking to make donations. We want to make a difference in the community we hold so dear. And if you're ever injured, know that we are here for you too.
WGNS encourages you to shop locally. That helps our local economy. Also, it's important to listen local. Here's something for the youngsters over at the Center for the Arts. Shrek the Musical. It's going on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, now through the 25th. Oh, and don't miss the Juneteenth Festival from 10 o'clock Saturday morning until 4 in the afternoon. The Juneteenth Festival is at the Bradley Academy Museum and Cultural Center. Don't forget, this coming weekend is the final one for wedding dresses across decades and cultures. That ends this Sunday, and it's over at the Women's Club of Murfreesboro. It runs Fridays and Saturdays from 10 until 5, and Sunday from 1 until 5. The admission is $15. The Women's Club of Murfreesboro is at 221 West College Street. Again, it wraps up this weekend. WGNS encourages you to send in your Good Neighbor events, and we'll be happy to put them on the air and on our website for you as a community service. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Good Neighbor weather. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for this afternoon, high of 80 degrees. Then tonight, mostly clear with a low near 57. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 59.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
And good morning and welcome back to the second segment of the WGNS Roundtable with your host Rick Hall and myself, Wayne Blair. And this morning it's Rick and my honor to have District 10 Commissioner Phil Wilson, District 11 Commissioner Anthony Johnson, and District 12 Commissioner Carl Boyd. And we left the first segment talking about your favorite subject, I think probably this morning, a little bit of budget. I know we'll talk about some other areas as well before the program's over, but maybe budget's front and center right now.
Yeah, we had a caller just, I think, call in, and we just want to bring it up, and y'all can address it. So they were talking about how often your well being tax increases. Is there any other revenues that are able to come in or tax sources that you'll be able to do? And you know, I think our state legislative body kind of killed all wishes of y'all to be able to institute impact fees and things like that the cities are able, like Murfreesboro is just raising theirs, and something I might have said about Smyrna, but that y'all hired lobbyists through the state, and that went through the state process, and our own legislative body that we've elected here in Rutherford County basically said no way and not going to let it happen. Am I right about that?
You're correct, 100%.
Yeah. With this time, our budget is $849.3 million. Schools, part of that is $518 million. Then the county's portion is $331.3. We have a $64 million deficit. That's huge. We have a AAA bond rating that we must maintain. We've got to keep that. We lose that, that's $6 million right there on instantly.
In interest.
We went to the state and asked them to allow us to join in with Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, all the surrounding areas on the adequate facilities tax and be able to raise that when we needed to, instead of being just bound to what we are presently. We were denied that. All the surrounding areas, well, we're mandated, or we're on a fixed rate. We can't increase that. The surrounding areas can. All we're asking is to be put in the group and be equal. And it's just, it's asinine to have it the way it is and to say, no, you can't be raising your tax when you need to. And that's I'm not talking about property tax. I'm talking about to alleviate having to raise property tax. We're limited on our revenues. But when we went to the state, they denied our request to help take the burden off of the taxpayers. I guess I do understand it, but I won't get into that part right now. I think everyone knows how politics are, so I'll just drop it at that. But we have a huge deficit, for one thing. We've got to take care of it. If we don't address the issues that we're addressing in this budget and raise our property tax at the proposed rate that's proposed and will be discussed tonight at the public hearing at 7 o'clock at the courthouse, Rutherford County Courthouse, if we don't address these issues and we say no, like even some of our state legislators when they were on the county commission could have said yes and averted what we're into now, but that didn't happen. Too many people are saying no when they need to say yes. No is not always good. Now, you can throw it out there to the public and glorify it all you want to, but when you say no to everything, you're not doing your job, and you don't need to be up here as a county commissioner. You don't need to be a state representative, or you don't need to be in politics, period, if all you can do is say no just to get your votes. And that's what it boils down to.
I would like to say one thing about chime in with Anthony there too is when you do talk to people in your district and they understand that the cost involved and they understand that Rutherford County is the fastest growing county in the state of Tennessee and one of the fastest growing counties in the country, and with that you're going to have additional cost, but they want and this, and I hear this over and over, and I know y'all have heard the same thing. They want the growth to pay for itself, and the only way the growth can pay for itself is with an impact fee or facilities tax, and we're not being allowed that, and we're not being allowed that by our state legislature.
I have so many random thoughts. I apologize if I'm jumping all over the place. We could talk about this for 3 or 4 hours, just each thing, and just the amount of information that we could share with the public. I'm going to try to share some things that might make it easier. Being a new commissioner, this is my first year, I've learned the details of how everything works. Coming in, being a Republican, coming into this, raising taxes is not something that we sit around thinking about doing. We think about cutting. This budget, from what I have seen, Rutherford County, and I've said this from the commission floor several times, we have a revenue problem. And that's something a lot of people are saying the opposite of. They're saying, no, you have a spending problem. I would like them, and I challenge them to watch the budget meetings, look at the budget that's being proposed online. It's available for everyone. There's nothing that we are reviewing and discussing that is not public. It's all on a public website, and maybe even that's something we can put out there as a link to where people can go look at it after the show. But what I want them to understand is we don't have places to cut. What we're looking at, and believe me, we looked at places. Everyone said, where can we cut? The departments came in with a zero-based budget. They didn't ask for anything more than the previous year. But here's a few facts. Number one, there's been grant money that's been around for several years in different areas. And I want Anthony to talk about this in a second, being the vice chairman on property management, is we have new public safety and health buildings that we have 2 openings soon. Well, there's a push for us to, over time, develop a professional, full-time fire service and moving away from volunteer only because we have big subdivisions coming into the county. So these are all new positions that previously we did not have to fund. This is public safety money. And if you look at where we're having to address the increases, most of it is funding public safety positions. The raises for the county employees, I believe there was 3.75% raise, and then there was already a 1.25% raise automatically scheduled to come to them. So this isn't a big increase like we had the previous year where we had to really get the wages up. This money is really going to pay for new positions in public safety. That's a big bulk of it. And I also want to address schools real quick. The TISA funding helped us tremendously. In the previous year's budget, we had to give an extra dime, an extra 10 cents. Obviously, in dollars, I think last year that maybe was around, the school penny, I think, was maybe 1.2 million or so last year. But that was given to the general purpose school fund to be able to continue operating. That has now, because TISA has provided somewhere around $54 to $57 million. That has been able to not only cover everything we have for this coming up budget, but the Board of Education returned that dime. They also returned a penny of what was going into Fund 177, which is our capital projects, maintenance. So we have 11 cents that was appropriated last year to education one way or another that has been returned. That is proposed to go to debt services. That's 11 cents being added back to debt services. For everyone to understand, debt services is where we're paying our bond payment. And borrowing this money to pay for these school additions this year, I think the final number could be somewhere just shy of $200 million or so. So we're looking at around a $16 to $17 million payment in that budget going towards what we're borrowing. Well, I just want to say that because of TISA funding, the Board of Education just gave back 11 pennies, so you can see how much that really cut into that. So Dr. Sullivan's doing a terrific job. They did a great job actually spending a lot of their own money. Anyone that was watching commission meetings in the spring noticed that for purchases they were making, the South Church building and some other things, they spent their 141 money to pay for this. They paid for the land at the Beatty's property. So he has been asked to put skin in the game, to come as a community in Rutherford County and help be a part of the solution. I just want to say that he has. By championing spending money they have on those purchases, by making sure the extra money previously appropriated came back because TISA covered it, that's a real big part of them being a partner and all of us being in this together. Because our biggest challenge is going to be buildings. The north end of the county, where we're all from, is absolutely exploding. And the amount of students and families that are yet to move in on approved projects, it is staggering. You'll cross your eyes to think off Jeannie Lane. We're talking about major complex that will be built there, and that's right off Old Nashville Highway, Jeannie Lane, right there off Sam Ridley. Arbor Ridge down the road. You're looking at a 5 to 7 years just in the small districts around Smyrna. That is going to increase the population as much as the population of the entire town once was in just a couple of projects. That's what we're looking at. So we can't sit around and wait any longer. We're already overcrowded beyond belief. And anyone that has an issue understanding that, visit your local school. When you walk into one of our elementary schools, especially anywhere that is from Blackman Elementary further north, to see the kids in closets and to see, children put into small spaces that need more, to see how the educators are having to get through their day, it's a lot to ask for anyone, and the quality of education for our kids is suffering. Anyone that goes and sees that, I challenge to say, you can't unsee it. And it's changed me when I saw it and said, we can't sit around and wait any longer when we can see what's coming. So how long do we continue waiting? When do we start to do the projects we know are going to have to be done? And I think the cost of waiting would be so far beyond the cost of getting started now. And the AAA bond rating that Commissioner Johnson brought up, this is the thing on this tax increase. If we lose that AAA bond rating, and he's exactly right, we're talking about $6 million in interest. We're considering having to borrow money for years to come in bonds to pay for buildings. We're not creating enough revenue to build the schools as we go along. So think about how those millions continue to stack up, and then what does taxes look like? So the cost of waiting is much higher than the cost of taking very difficult, very hard action right now to balance this budget in a way that we can get on top of these projects. And I believe part of it is, and people don't know this, it's all new to me, to keep a AAA bond rating, I believe we have to keep a fund balance of around 30%. Not passing this, but still having to appropriate funds for public safety and where we're going, will put us so far out of reach of being able to keep that fund balance, it's unlikely we would ever get back. And I know that sounds like a statement that's a bit too broad, but when we would get down, I believe Mayor Carr, when asked this question, specifically said, if we don't do this amount and we did half or less, I believe he actually said, we won't just have a problem or struggle, it'll be dead. Yeah. And I use the word dead on our AAA bond rating. So the challenge for commissioners is for us to do what we're doing here today. Thank you guys for having us on. It's trying to get the facts out to people that what we're doing is preventative maintenance. By going ahead and doing what we're doing now, we are saving a lot of hardship that's going to come on the back end. We just happen to spend hours a day looking at these numbers, so we know that that's the case. And that's the argument that we're having is, do we wait? And do we keep kicking a can that's not going away? And to imagine on the north end of the county where we need the most help We have the biggest population boom. We're the ones that need seats for kids. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? What's the quality of life going to be like for these families, and these kids? We have to educate them. It's a big part of who we are as a county, is investing in our children. And I don't want that to get caught up in just a taxes discussion, because what we're looking at is the future of who we want to be. What's the future of Rutherford County? What do we want to look like? What does that picture be? If that picture is constantly waiting and kicking the can down, I think the overcrowding and I think the negative responses that we will see are unimaginable. We think it's bad now. It can be a lot worse.
We say how much is going towards schools, but the property tax pays for a great deal more than just schools.
Yes, sir.
That maybe talk about the breakdown on public safety, like you mentioned previously, judicial, ambulance service. I mean, there's a lot that property tax takes care of.
Well, I think we're getting close on a break on that. I'm just wondering if that might be the topic we can bring when we get back, and we'll try to get an update on the convenience centers and where they're at. And I know we got some public safety buildings that are about due to almost open or due to be open, and it may be a staffing issue with that. But why don't we go ahead and take our second break, and we'll come back and we'll try to tackle those in our last segment. We'll be right back with you.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. Seriously looking at solar power generation? MTE offers a free consultation with an energy expert and has an entire library of educational resources. To learn more, visit mte.com/prosolar.
If you want to get some barbecue, I'll tell you how to do it. Head for the Slick Pig and you're into it. Just walk through the door at 1920 East Main and your nose will send a message right to your brain. Say, smells good. And barbecue. Slick Pig. We got ribs and beans. Got spicy wings. Slick Pig.
A Murfreesboro tradition. 1920 East Main.
Learn to make money 5 ways with rental real estate. Double your money with apartments. And get your map to financial freedom. And that map starts with a free workshop. Sign up now at lifestylesunlimited.com. Click on the Join Free Workshop tab and attend online or in person. That's lifestylesunlimited.com. Lifestylesunlimited.com. Again, that's lifestylesunlimited.com. Limited seating, unlimited potential.
This is Dr. David Morris with Magnolia Medical Center. Do you suffer from peripheral neuropathy in your hands or feet, burning pain, balance problems, and decreased quality of life? Magnolia Medical Center can help.
Magnolia Medical Center in Murfreesboro. Online at magnoliamedicalcenters.com.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
And good morning and welcome back to the third and final segment of the WGNS Roundtable with your host Rick Hall and myself, Wayne Blair. And we've had some lively discussion this morning, and I think we're going to continue with that discussion. So, gentlemen, take it away.
Well, let me address I think we had a text caller come in, and we just kind of want to address that real quick. So I think basically the question was if you're are you borrowing money now to pay for debts or buildings that we've had in the past? And I believe that would be a yes on both counts, because I don't know if we've ever not built a building or a school complex without having to go to the bond market to pay for that project, because obviously with the cost of schools and things we're paying now, that we just can't pay that straight out of property taxes.
That's right.
That is exactly right. The answer is yes. We have debt from previous projects, and obviously we were discussing new debt for the new projects. And yeah, just based on today's conversation, I hope everyone understands we're not going to be able to build a building without going to the bond market. We all know that a high school now is going to cost us around $135 to $140 million. And I'd like to put that in perspective. Commissioner Blair, I believe Rockville and Stewart's Creek were somewhere in the ranges of $60 to $70 million. So the high schools have doubled just since our two newest have been built. We're looking at the need of an elementary school. We mentioned elementary school in the last segment with children stuffed in closets and the overcrowding. The projection we got, guys, was $57 million just for the building. Now, let me make sure I make this point. That's off the same projected list that the additions were. Well, the additions were $137 million, but the final cost was $156. So doing that math, $19 million more and way more than 15% over projection. So does that mean the next elementary school is going to cost us close to $65 or $70 million? Now let me put it in perspective. 26 cents that's being proposed on the tax increase. The penny right now brings in about $1.55 million. We're talking about a 26-cent tax increase that would create about $40 million in revenue. I just told you that a high school, which is sorely needed in the North End very soon, is $140 million. We don't have cash to pay for these projects. So I hope those numbers kind of help everybody understand we have to keep going to the bond market and borrowing the money to build these projects, and we're making payments, no different than anyone with mortgaging a home or you're buying the car. And we're going to have to continue doing this for several years. Each time we're adding a new payment. That's what we're facing, and I hope that helps everybody understand that we're looking at a budget the same way you do. You know, we're all in this having to take that tax increase, but once you get some perspective that the revenue created is what Rick just said, it's not even close to taking care of one project. And Commissioner Blair, I think Commissioner Johnson were talking during the break, and he's going to bring this up on where some of this new money is going. We've been talking about schools, but as far as where a lot of the new money needs to go in the tax increase, it's actually going to be to help take care of public safety issues, emergency services. So I like Commissioner Johnson to speak on that.
Well, we have many things that are causing our deficit, and we have many bills to pay. It's just like when you're a homeowner or even renting. You've got your home, your bills to pay, and you've got to come up with the money somewhere, and you're going to do it every way you can. You're going to look for all kinds of revenue as much as you can. But right now, we've got public health and safety buildings being built. They are funded or partially funded by grant. There's 6 of them. Walter Hill, Kittrell, and Rockville. It's Kittrell, Rockville. There's one other one. Anyway, we've got 3 coming on board or opening up soon, within the next month or 2. We have the One Stop, which is basically like the Smyrna County Clerk's building. We have that in Blackman. That's opening somewhere this month, sometime this month. Of course, we have to pay employees there, utilities. It's added utilities. The public safety buildings will have fire and police in there. You've got firefighters. It's gonna be $1 million plus a year just to fund the staffing for these public safety buildings. Well, that's not cheap, but it's worth it. We've got to have it.
And a fire truck's $1 million.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's not even including the equipment now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a great expense, but it's a great asset to this county, and it's something that's demanded by the taxpayers. The same taxpayers that this increase we're talking about in the taxes that goes on them, because right now we don't have any other revenues, but we're looking. Another thing we're faced with is the Goldstein's renovation. We looked at that. Anticipated cost was $7,218,439. We decided not to go with that because it's just too costly. Now, hopefully, we can work out something with the city and Linebaugh Library to maybe put our staff in there, but we don't know that yet. We're looking at hiring a new project manager. We've had one in the past, but we eliminated that position. But we are looking at doing that now. That's $95,000 to $110,000 a year for a new property manager. But that property manager, I feel, and the reason that we're hiring this person is because this person is going to save us a tremendous amount, way over what this person is going to be paid. So that's another plus. We just sold a house on Singer Road that we had, $36,300. That goes back to help with the taxes. I mean, it's a small amount, but hey, dollars are dollars. That's to be removed, and we still have the property. That property is being marketed through the Chamber of Commerce. They're putting the feelers out and trying to find out what kind of money we can bring in off of possibly selling that property. So that's another thing that will help us. But anything we're doing now is not alleviating this tax rate that we're talking about tonight in the public hearing. This will help down the road, but things you do today doesn't fix the tax increase that we're going to do this year. It will help down the road and alleviate maybe having another tax increase. We're in the process of looking at building the transfer station. We're in the design phase of that right now. That's a $20 million bill right there just to build the transfer station, take care of our trash. Our convenience centers just in the month of May took in 2,668.56 tons of trash. That's just in recycle. The total waste that we had for the county was 4,000 tons. We've got to take care of that. We don't know when the landfill is going to close, but we know it's closing. We've got to be prepared. We can't wait until the day it closes to decide we're going to build the transfer station, which by all of the information that we've gathered from all the professionals, they say your first step is building a transfer station. Well, we've got to take that first step, and we have. We're in the process. So
let me ask you a question on that. So next week, Middle Point gives y'all a phone call and said, hey, we're closing in 6 months. What would it cost average, and if you don't know, you don't know, but each household for their trash, say, per year? If we lost that, what we got right now?
I'm hearing different numbers. Maybe I'm hearing $25 a month, but I feel it'll be more than that.
Well, it just depends on where it has to be trucked to.
Yes, and of course you'd have to hire the companies that are in the, well, I was going to say waste management, but they're a company, but anyone in the waste management business as far as hauling trash, we'd have to find someone to handle that trash, and it's not going to be cheap, and it won't stay at that price. It'll continually rise.
Exactly. As fuel
increase.
prices change, they're going to have adjustments.
Yes. So Rick and Wayne, I believe that's a good subject for the next time we get together, because what I just heard Commissioner Johnson say is the potential decisions we're making on the landfill and trash disposal are far more expensive than even the proposed tax increase we're discussing tonight on a monthly basis. That is how critical what's coming up is. So just people do pay attention to property taxes, but we need people to also be chiming in and understanding what's happening with trash disposal. Remember, that's been free in this county for a generation. So the thought of having to pay for its disposal is new and an addition to what we're already talking about. So, let me ask this to everyone listening in the public. Pray for your county government. Pray for your commissioners. We're taking on these subjects, and we feel compassion for the residents of this county. We don't want a single expense to be added to anyone. We also don't want to see our county be ruined and the quality of life and education take us to a place that we can't recover from. So we're prayerfully making the best choices that we feel can be made. So just keep us in your thoughts and prayers, because you're our neighbors. We see you in the grocery store. I see you across the street. I have a small district. I can't just run away from the people that vote for me. So anyway, just wanted to add that as we say goodbye.
Well, we're tickled to have you today, and God bless you for serving. Rick and I know the pressure you're under, and how thoughtful you are in your decision process. Commissioner Johnson, did you have something that you wanted to add before we close this program out?
Well, as I was saying, the things we're doing now, these steps that I was alluding to, the things we've got in process and in the future, they cost money, but many of these things are going to save us money too. And that's what we're looking at is other revenues or savings. And that's what people keep telling us. Well, you've got to cut things, you've got to save. Well, we don't really have anything we can cut, but we can work on future projects that will save us. And that's what we're doing. The transfer station, going to the dumping with our trucks every day, day in, day out. We've got $10,000 a month in tires. Most of that is not from highway use. It's from popping the tires when they go to the dump. That's a pretty good saving, $10,000 a month. You figure maybe $8,000 of it is really going to be saved. So that's things we're looking at. And that's what you're asking us to do. So we're trying to do our job. Please bear with us. And like Phil said, pray for us.
Well, with the school giving back basically the 11 cents, and I know also that they're trying to make the virtual school very robust, and that takes butts out of the bricks and mortar. And but there's just a certain segment of student that's able to do all that from home. I mean, to stay that process, you would have to be a very highly disciplined young person to be, successful at a continued virtual school.
One last thing, I promised Mr. Wagner that I would bring this up. We've gone into a new process on our recycling. It's one stream. You take all your 1 and 2 plastics, recyclable, cardboard, papers, and cans. You put it in one container. You go to the dump or to the recycle. You dump it all in one container. And I told him I would let you know, and I promise you, none of this is. It's hard for me to do because I'm used to separating it. You throw it all into one and people are saying it's going to the dump. It's not going to the dump. It is being recycled. You don't put glass in there and you don't put your garbage, your regular trash in there. But all your recyclables go into one bin. They're being dumped now at all the convenience centers. We just started that, I think, last week. Everything goes into one bin as far as recyclables, only recyclables. And make sure it's 1 and 2 plastics, cardboard, paper, and cans. But it's not going to the dump, I promise you.
To contact their commissioner, they do that through the Rutherford County website?
Yes, rutherfordcountytn.gov. rutherfordcountytn.gov, and you can look for a list of commissioners, and you can communicate. Our personal information is on there. You can find our phone numbers, or you can send us an email through that system. But we encourage everybody to be a part of the solution. We're all in this together. We live in Rutherford County, so it's affecting our families as much as anybody else. So.
I think the biggest part of that is be involved. I mean, the biggest proponent at the state level that was against you guys getting impact fees said he was never contacted. You know, that state rep Tim Rudd, he said he's sub-chair of that committee and said he was never contacted by anybody. And we know you guys contacted him, as well as there's a lobbying firm for the county that was up there having conversations with him. But to sit up there and say he wasn't aware of it and then fight so hard for the builders and the real estate agents and not the everyday citizens that voted him into office was a shame.
Well, Steering had a legislative meeting that they do every year, and they had our legislators there at the courthouse in a panel, and they were asked point blank that night. They were told the needs, and they were asked then to support this, and every one of them sat there and didn't say a word, and that pretty well told us the answer. And then we found out what it was.
Well, I hated it when I was on the commission, the short time I was up there, that we only met with our legislators one time a year.
Yes.
I felt like it needed to be a couple times during session, of each time they're in session. That way they're brisk of what our problems are. There was a big push for a metropolitan government in the mid-2000s when I was on there. And I think we're pushing ourselves into that now because of what the growth is happening, that it's going to bankrupt the county. We're going to have the city's tax revenue to dig us out of the hole, because we're going to get such a big a hole if they don't start finding other ways of revenue. And I don't think there's a voter out there, if you take a poll of 100, there'll be 100 that says growth ought to pay for itself. And there's only one piece of that, and that's a state legislator that doesn't think that.
That's exactly right.
So, yeah. Commissioner Boyd, you got any parting things you want to bring up?
We can use all the prayers we can get.
Amen.
Commissioner Wilson?
No, I just want to encourage everybody to be a part of the process. You know, watch what's going on, reach out to us, ask questions. We'll be happy to answer you.
Understand. We got a couple more seconds here. The Forensic Center, is there anything going? We brought that up last time. I think it's still kind of a standstill, wait and see type thing, but I just want to make sure it brought up. There's somebody asked me if we were going to talk about it today on the north end, so and I think that's...
Yes, I texted the mayor last night and asked him if there's any change, and there's a committee that's supposed to be deciding who gets that money or who they appropriate the money to, and that was supposed to have already been done, but it's been postponed a couple of times or moved off. So right now we don't know if we're going to get that money or not. But that's something we really need. That's another thing we were looking at. We get to forensics, that will not only save us money, a tremendous amount of money. I think it's over $2,000 for an autopsy. That's a lot of money, and we can actually bring other counties' autopsies, have them done here instead of having overcrowding or overburdening Nashville like it is. There's a tremendous wait just to get an autopsy done, and hopefully we can get other things done that are entwined in law enforcement, where people don't have to wait so long to get their results, say rape cases and things like that. But that could turn into a real moneymaker if we get it. That's a forensic center, and that would be built off of Weekly Road, over by where the old emissions was.
Where the new convenience center's going.
Right, so it'll be on our property.
Yeah.
But I think it was like $20 million that we're supposed to get from the state, hopefully get from the state, and then we were going to put in like $6 million. So hopefully that comes to fruition.
Yeah. We sure appreciate y'all's being with us this morning.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Hope everybody enjoyed our show today. I hope it was informative and educational for you guys. But I'm going to be off next week. You got Wayne by himself, so hope you enjoy next week's show. And thank you guys for being with us.
I'll miss you, brother.
See y'all next week. Bye-bye.